We're
I think I just peed my pants
again
today.
Oh.
Pee your pants again for the first time.
All right, is it about time? We got about 30 seconds here, Chris.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Chug a beer, and then we'll be ready.
Listen to some Stevie Ray, and then we'll be ready.
Then we'll be ready to party. Okay. The hell are we talking? So I completely lost track of time.
It's because you were watching Yoko Ono.
I know.
I know you love her so.
I'm like, that can't be real, can it?
70s were a crazy time, man.
I guess so. Okay, just a few more moments here, and then we'll be ready to rock. Oh, I can start drinking.
Did Chuck have a paisley shirt on?
Sure.
And flares?
Hey,
and flares?
Sure. Hey, everybody, this is Matt, and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching another episode of Primetime Guitar. We've got some cool stuff to talk to you guys about today. One of them, though, is that I almost missed the live stream start time because I was watching Chuck Berry and Yoko Ono. No, I was watching Chuck Berry, John Lennon, and Yoko Ono happened to be there, and the rest of the crappy band that was like backing him up.
Yeah, you got to wonder whose band that was. I don't know.
I
think everybody knows the clip. From the Mike Douglas show,
or something like Dick Cavett. I don't know what it was. No, it was Mike Douglas. You're right. So anyway, if you're not familiar, you can check it out. If you just type in Chuck Berry and John Lennon, you'll find it. And but Chuck makes a face, and Yoko Ono attempts to ruin that band too. But the reason I was watching it was because John Lennon is playing the guitar that the Challenger Deluxe is kind of inspired by, and that is the that Les Paul Jr. that in the pictures that I'd seen is that kind of burgundy Luxardo red. But on this clip, somebody told me, that originally was Sunburst, and I'm like, well, whatever. And
I figured it was Sunburst, and then at the same time they hogged it out for that pickup, it probably changed color.
But as it turns out, the guy who told me that is 100% right. Well, provided there weren't two guitars, which there could have been. But that guitar was Sunburst then. So to the guy who I was like, yeah, whatever. You were right. I was wrong, and yeah. So good on you for letting me know. So and also thank you for kind of tricking me into watching Yoko Ono go or whatever it was she was doing.
Was she playing something too? Didn't she?
Like a bono or something.
Like the thud?
Yeah, some sort of thing. Yeah. Okay. So thanks for joining us, everybody. You know who you are if you're here. Chris, what's in the box? Don't do it.
I don't know. Let's open it up, Matt.
Okay. I got a new. Now, if you guys follow or if you look on Amazon, you can find these Gerber box cutter things that everybody carries. Everybody who we know has one of these, just about, right?
It's definitely slowed down as to the number of people that you've given these to.
Yep.
Or that have been forced into buying one.
Yep.
But yeah, there's still a lot of people that have them.
But I'm kind of a mega huge fan of the utility knife that you keep in your pocket, and I even got a new one here now. Look at this guy. Ooh, baby. This is by Exceed Designs. It's titanium. So get a load of that. This is my new box cutter. I know what you're thinking. What's the big deal about a box cutter? But yeah, it's a cool new box cutter, and it's made of titanium. And this box,
does it have a bottle opener on it?
No, I'm afraid it doesn't, sir.
Fail. I'm gonna have to use one of the 6 other bottle openers that are on probably my person right now.
Although the guy did include a titanium screwdriver thing, and maybe that has a you can add it later if you want. But they're not giving these away. Man, these are neat. Super cool. Okay. Anyway, so this box is from Jewett Guitars, Jeff Jewett at Jewett Guitars and Trans Tint Dyes. So, and if you've ever watched any of the videos where Chris does awesome sunbursts, these are the dyes that he uses. So Jeff said, I'm going to send you some new dye and check it out. So haha, joke's on you, Chris. There's all empty bottles in here.
Great.
Okay, so what did he send us? Ooh,
So these are cool. I've never seen these.
These are party size.
Yeah, let's leave them packed.
These are crowd pleasing sizes of the same aniline dyes that Jeff makes for his company, and he makes it for Stuart McDonald, and so like we've got some of the classic colors like the vintage amber and the that kind of Gibson-y burgundy, and there's another tobacco brown, right? I think is what we told him we used a lot.
Honey amber. I wonder if these are the same colors.
He says they're the same, but just different names. Yeah.
Dark mission brown.
Yep. He says that's tobacco
brown, and then bright red.
Yep.
Which is they call it cherry red.
Yeah.
Sumac. Those are probably my three favorite colors.
That's what I told him, and so he sent you all these empties to go with it.
Yeah, cool.
And then what else did he send us there? You know, Jeff is a really cool guy, and he's helping me on my journey with acoustic guitar. So, look at this. He sent us some acoustic guitar shirts. So thank you to Jeff who sent us. I like this color too. See, this color that I have on is faded right now. But yeah, so thank you to Jeff for sending us these shirts and the dyes and the little bottles that the dyes go in. And I'm gonna rock this with pride. I've got kind of a new. Jeff sent me some cool hacks, acoustic guitar side bending hacks.
Oh yeah,
and I'm very excited to put those into action. So
apparently it's not just enough to have the tool. You also have to know how to use the tool.
That's just it.
And
that's right.
There might be some secrets that they don't tell you.
You can pick up along the way. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thanks for the shirt.
Thank you, Jeff. And Jeff's a cool dude.
Oh yeah, and you said that these also have flip top caps because, as I think a lot of people know, one of the banes of my existence are these. Because I can't figure out how to open them. And not get dye
every which way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, man.
So, Chris, what do you want to talk about first today? Are we taking any questions tonight?
Sure.
Okay. So, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to let them fly in the comment section here. I'll try to get them as best as I can. We always take super chats. Try to put priority on super chats if you have one. But you just have a regular question about really anything, try to make it jump out at me. Put like a lot of question marks or a lot of, I don't know, asterisks. Don't put exclamation points because they're narrow. Yeah, something wide.
Put them at the beginning too.
Put them at the beginning, put them at the end. See, Paul Needs knows how to do it. He says, what are aniline dyes and what are the advantages and disadvantages?
So the way that we use this stuff is we mix it into a mid-coat clear in our base coat. So it's basically a clear base coat. It doesn't have any hardener in it. It just goes on, dries really fast. But anyway, we mix this into kind of a candy color and then shoot that over our sealed guitar. Yeah. We don't apply this directly to wood.
You can, but we don't.
We don't. You put this in paint and then you spray it on to tint the clear for sunbursts and things like that.
But if you want to apply it to wood, you can mix it with water or alcohol and put it in that.
Yep.
Brad Hutchings says, "Thanks for helping my buddy Pete." You're very welcome, Brad. And Pete
raw wood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this actually segues nicely, Chris, into grab that and grab that. So there was a time when we were using this exact setup that's how we started, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we want to talk about is where we started and what it took for us to get to where we are today, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you can also mix this dye directly into lacquer.
Mm-hmm.
It's ideal if it's not into lacquer that already has color in it. But yeah,
clear or slightly ambered.
Yeah. So when back in the old, how long has it been since we used lacquer exclusively?
6 years, 5 years.
It's at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 15.
2014 or 15.
Yeah, I think it was 15 that we stopped.
So it could be 8 years, 7 years. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
So and one of the things that we had to do is we had to kind of challenge ourselves to use some products that we were unaware of. So I'm gonna kind of let that sit for a second. We're gonna take some more questions, but we want to come back. We want to talk about, do you really want to get better at anything, whether it's guitar making or or making brownies? You have to keep pushing yourself if you want to get better, right? If you want to achieve, if you want to be able to achieve greatness, you have to keep working at it. There's no secret,
right?
You just takes lots and lots of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would add, and how do you feel about this comment I'm about to make, Chris? That someone who's truly good practices until they can't get it wrong. Someone who is truly mediocre practices until they get it right one time.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
I think I know of a lot of people that are afraid to branch out into anything that they are not 100% comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And they would rather do mediocre time and time and time again, knowing what the result's going to be, than risk messing it up one time.
Yeah.
And not being 100% happy or even figuring it out as you're doing it, and getting it right, trying to move forward. Just being, I keep seeing the same people doing the same things to guitars, as far as like mostly finish, and they're pretty bad actually when it comes right down to it. And I don't know if it's just because it's a race to get it done,
maybe,
or if because that's as good as they think they can do. But I know they could do better, but they refuse to, and they just keep doing the same thing, and they keep ending up with guitars that just look kind of shitty.
Yeah, we have completely lost track of the number of guitars that we have ruined. And but there's a shed full of them at my house.
Well, yeah, and sometimes it's ruined, and sometimes it's just I'm gonna have to sand this back and start over, or maybe this one's gonna get painted a solid color instead of something else, or whatever it is. But I'm gonna have to sand this all back and do it again because I put giant runs in it, or whatever it is. So
okay. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But I want to take some questions here. Aaron wants to know, what radial arm saw model do you guys have used for fret slotting? Mine's crap and I can't get square. My slots are coming out wide. It's not the blade. Do you have this problem? Aaron, no, we don't have that problem. Ours is an old Craftsman radial arm saw, but it's a 70s. It has not been used very much. And it is very easy to find a well-used radial arm saw. And if you have a well-used radial arm saw, you will not be able to get accurate fret slots or really anything. Probably.
And I think they're more adjustable than you think they are. You have to have it so that it's pretty rigid sliding. You want it to slide smooth, but you don't want it to rock on those arms.
But if it's wonky,
basically the same machine.
If it's wonky, I don't have any tricks and tips for tightening it up.
No, but see if you can tighten it up. A lot of them too, the actual motor assembly can pivot, and if you can snug that up, shim it up somehow, try that. It could be that the motor's just pooping out on it.
Could be that you have a dodgy saw.
It's not turning fast enough, or it's not, you're bogging it down or something like that.
Could be.
I know with harder woods, and like when we cut that rich light stuff,
Oh yeah,
it bogged down and it made the slots too wide.
We ruined the blade.
Yeah, and we ruined the blade. Yeah, the blade deflected because it was slowing down, and it made the slots really wide.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go.
Yep. So it might just be a bad radial arm saw.
Could be. Yeah. Yep. They're out there.
They are out there.
Or switch to a table saw.
You can switch to a table saw. Something that I've thought about a bunch. I don't know if you could do it, but a tile saw is pretty small. Because I don't think you need a giant table saw to do this.
Probably not.
But tile saw with that blade in it might work really, really well.
Yep. Something that stays tight. We have a super chat from Brian Duncan, but I want to get back to all your questions, but let's see what Brian's up to. He says, happy Friday Eve. I'm late. What did I miss? Brian, you missed the giveaway. You won, but you had to be present to win. I'm sorry.
Somebody else. Sorry.
Yeah. So it was a shot of tequila and I did it. Okay. So Doc wants to know, I thought aniline dyes were not stable in regards to UV exposure. How will that work with the new hotness? How will that work, Chris? Because dyes can in fact kind of disappear a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. We will find out. Yeah, we could talk to Mr. Jewett. Find out.
Jeff, actually, I asked him about UV cure, and he's like, I'm not doing it. He says, I'm not using that.
Okay.
So
right.
So
we'll find out and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
I can tell you that it goes over the regular base coat, metallic base coat. Real nice. We're going to talk about that tonight too.
Mark says, does the finish look different if you hand apply rather than mix it in your clear coat?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I personally do not care for rubbed in dye on wood, especially if you're trying to get a sunbursty effect.
I am not a fan either. I've never seen one that I love.
It bleeds. It ends up too dark, too wide, too everything.
Now, that does not mean that I think that people who do hand applied sunburst are doing it incorrectly.
Right. Well,
I've seen some that are really good, but none that I think are what I want our guitars to look.
Have you ever watched Kiesel do their sunburst rubbed in?
No, I watched Derek do Big D do his, and he does a good job.
Yeah, the guys at Kiesel use a different product. It's more of a gel.
A gel, okay.
Yeah, it definitely applies different, and I think they're applying it over kind of a sealed up wood. It's probably shellacked already or something like that, because it doesn't bleed all over the place.
But that's kind of a thing, right? If you experiment, if you walk outside of your comfort zone and say, you know what, I want to try a hand applied sunburst. That's a great, you will never get good at hand applied sunburst unless you do a bunch of hand applied sunburst. Yeah. And you know what, you're probably not going to be great at it the first time out of the chute, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you want to get good, you will, as long as you keep working at it. You know, the guys who do it are people. You're a people. You can get good at it too.
Yep. Yeah. And so one of the reasons that we do it the way we do it is because I like the way that it looks. It's easier for me to control the band and the darkness and all of that.
Yeah.
So
I'm listening. I'm just scrolling.
That's it.
Okay. Van Shank wants to know, how intense is the light you use for fillings? Jim Murray says, so goes my journal with metal flake finishes. Sand it back and try it again. Man, been there, done that, right?
Yeah, metal flake. Yeah. Yep. Metal flake is really just all about technique and having some equipment that will work with it. What are we using for spraying metal flake these days? And okay, so as far as like a gun,
so how are we doing metal flake finishes now? What equipment are we using? Sub question: what are the pitfalls associated with metal flake?
Okay, so
and Jimmy's here. How you doing, Jim?
So the way we do metal flake is some sort of base color coat, whether it matches the metal flake or it's black. Traditionally, it was always black, so I like black. And then there's a couple different.
You ever
ways.
use like silver or anything?
Yeah, I've done silver, I've done gold, I've done red
Okay.
with red metal flake. I mean, it kind of depends on what you want it to look like. And then we will use that same base coat that we mix this stuff in for Sunburst. We use that with the dry metal flake powder in it. You can use colored metal flake, like red or purple, or you can use silver and then put a candy color over that. That's a little more subdued look. I think if you want it to really pop, you're probably going to want to do the color of the metal flake. So you shoot that on, mix it up. We shoot it out of a gun with a big tip. It's like a 2.3 tip, which is huge. That way the metal flake will actually go through, agitate it quite a bit as you're doing it. Spritz, agitate.
You like the siphon gun or the gravity feed?
I always had done them with siphon gun early on.
Me
that's
too.
What I had.
Then that's what that video with that guy. He's got the bolts in there and he's shaking up the camera.
Yeah, and that works okay. But gravity fed is good too.
It's the way to go.
Yeah, you have to. If you're giving it multiple coats, flip the gun over and get all the metal flake out, because it'll sit there and it'll just sort of clump it.
Bam!
So
shotgun out at the
You got to get it out of there. And then just start. I'll usually do 3 or 4 coats of like Euroclear.
Okay.
On it, let that dry for 24 hours, scuff that back and shoot, 3 more coats on it. And then it should be ready for wet sanding and buffing.
Yeah. Yep.
If you do lacquer, it takes a lot more clear.
Lacquer is a great topic because we used to use lacquer and we still love lacquer. But we don't use it anymore.
No.
And for a number of reasons. But do you remember we had a conversation in my home shop? This was years and years ago. And we were both yelling at each other and agreeing with each other at the same time about how we didn't want to use modern paint.
Yeah.
We wanted to use nitrocellulose lacquer.
Yeah. Nitro. Lacquer does some cool things in as far as the way it wears. If you're into that, it's a real bummer if you're not into that. And the guitar starts to basically come apart on its own. I still think it has a softer look, no matter how shiny you make it. Lacquer still has a softer hue.
Remember, we were at the NAMM show, and we were.
That I don't want to use this new paint because it's too shiny.
I forget what booth we were at. We were at like Nick Hubler or somebody's booth.
I thought it started with an L.
Maybe it probably wasn't Hubler, but anyway, there were 2 identical guitars, one finished in modern paint and one finished in lacquer, and they just looked different.
You could tell even if they didn't say which one was which.
Yes,
I would have been able to tell you.
Easy to tell, yeah.
And at that time, I thought the modern paint guitar looked better.
I did too.
Yeah.
So some of what we're doing as we kind of have been experimenting with modern paints and modern finishing techniques, we've had to change equipment. We've had to buy better equipment. We've had to buy more of it. Different finishes. There's no thinner. There's reducer, and there's no there's activating chemicals, and there's sealer, and there's polyester, and there's urethanes, and there's things that may or may not go well together. You can put one over the other, but you can't put other over the other. And so, but we've landed on some things in the last 7 or 8 years that have really been I think that our new 73 finish has elevated the Challenger to exactly where I want it to be using modern paint.
It's funny because I really liked the Challenger full gloss, full boat. I thought those were really cool. But then we started doing the 73 thing, and I like it even more.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes with that guitar a little bit better. And the 73 doesn't look great on everything, but it does on those.
Any of the wood tones, it looks terrific.
Yeah,
Dave the Pious sent us a super chat and said, when
Dave,
it comes to finish, I just think about what Mike Learn would use. Well, I can tell you what Mike Learn doesn't use, and that's lacquer.
Yeah, he was the guy that pushed us to go modern, because the first thing that he turned us on to was the sealer. Simtex sealer.
Yep.
And we're like, well, can we shoot lacquer over? And he's like, well, yeah.
You can, but I don't know why you
guys should really step up. And we're like, no, we're not going to do that yet. So we were for quite a while using Simtex and lacquer. Yeah. Which works okay.
You can do.
Other companies can do it too. They do it.
They may.
But he finally sort of talked us into trying some modern paints, and as soon as we did, it was like, oh yeah, this is better. It was
truly night and day. Once we got all geared up to do it, it made life a lot easier. Now it still doesn't mean you just buy the stuff and automatically you're painting like Mike Learn, as you very well know, Dave. And as you know too, Chris, you got to work with it and you've got to get good at it. But we've also talked with some other people, and one of the things that we've been working with a lot lately is the ultraviolet UV cure paints. We've been doing a lot of stuff with that. I have been nothing but impressed by the ultraviolet cure paints. There is at no point am I like, am I wrong, or are you?
No.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so far I'm kind of waiting for something to go wrong.
Because
that's usually what people tell you. But I do also know that things are constantly improving, and today's UV paint is probably much different than yesterday's UV paint.
I can tell you that
it's really neat, and it's like it's starting to make me think about not only the way we do things, but the way other people do things, because a lot of times painting is kind of a secret.
Yeah.
The way they do things, they're not going to tell you.
They don't give it away.
They're not going to show you. You're not going to see it in a video.
What about our paint? Do you think you'll ever see that in a video, Chris?
Yeah, some of it.
I think you're actually going to see a lot of it on Sunday.
Yeah.
We did a body that was done completely with UV cure paints.
Yep. Yeah. From pore filler to sealer, base coat, just regular base coat, because you don't use UV cure base coat.
Oh, that's right.
It dries in 20 minutes. And then UV top coat, and it's pretty cool.
So for everybody who's been asking us, when are we going to demo and make videos on the UV cure paint setup? That video is coming on Sunday.
Yep.
Filmed, just about to be edited, and so barring something so revolutionary that comes up that I have to do a video preempting it, I don't even know what that would be. The Sunday's video will be something will be all about UV cure.
Yeah.
So,
and the neat thing about it is it was the first time that we used the UV as top coat. It was the first time we used the new light.
Yep.
And it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it turned out really good.
It turned out way better than pretty good.
There's things I'm going to change slightly, but yeah, it turned out really great, and I'm looking forward to getting even better at it. And letting other people get good at it too.
Please elaborate on that part?
Well, I think one of the impetuses for this, I know, is an effort to be able to do a little bit more paint work in some of our classes. The old paints, minimum of 12 hours for most top coat, sealer coat things to dry, and more like 18 to 24 hours, really. Sealer usually was about 24 hours for it to cure completely.
Easily,
top coat, if you're doing, really shiny stuff, at least that. So So this UV thing, and it started out with just some pore sealer, pore filler, and turned into all this other stuff.
Yeah.
For classes mostly, but it's really neat for everyday kind of all of our stuff in a lot of ways, you know. Yeah, that top coat yesterday, we put it on, we UV'd it, and I picked it up 2 minutes later, took my stuff off and went, you know.
I was like, do we have to wait an hour? Do we have to do something?
No. And yeah, sanded on it a little bit, buffed on it a little bit. It's pretty cool. So
let's see. So some people are talking about UV Cure, talking about how they're excited for the videos. Paul's like secrets these days, like the 73 finish. I'm not going to give away the 73 finish. That one was a long, hard fought battle.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not giving away the 73 finish.
Nope.
Brian wants to know, are we going to sell our old UV setup? Actually, Brian, we don't have an old UV setup.
No, Steve loaned us. He had an extra light. He bought that guy is hooked up. He bought a Cure booth.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a thing where you can take a guitar or a guitar body, hang it inside, turn it on, it rotates. It's got UV lights every direction. It rotates for a minute, 2 minutes,
Cooks
something like that.
Yeah.
And then it's done. And this other light came with that setup. But he already has a big wand light that he can wave around.
Yeah.
But that turned out to not be quite enough light for us.
Yeah,
we got the new big one, and
we did
way better. That was the right move for sure with that.
Lonnie Max Garage says, Matt, I've been following your acoustic build. What finish are you thinking about? Are you going to make Chris do it? Actually, I don't know what finish I'm going to do, but I know for a fact that I'm not going to ask Chris to do it.
We're going to coat it in a sheet of plastic.
Yeah. Paul wants to know about the new V. Is the process one instrument only, or can you run batches?
Yeah, we can run batches. Yeah. So far we did when we used it as sealer coat, I think I sprayed 3 bodies or 2 bodies that day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can do it just like you normally do. The technique with that stuff is you spray it on. It's 30 minutes between 3 coats, 30 minutes between coats, and then 30 minutes before you UV it to off gas. Apparently, if you UV it too soon, solvents can come through and bubble.
Okay.
So you let it sit for a little bit, make sure that everything's off gassed.
Before anybody asks, we're using Simtech pore filler and Simtech top coat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the numbers are. If you call Mike at Simtech, he'll be happy to tell you.
He will be happy to tell you. Yeah. Yeah. And I need to call him and find out because they make 3 different top coats in the same
UV
series.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
37 by 1, 37 by 3, 37 by 6.
Okay.
We're using the 6.
Okay.
And I don't know what the difference is between any of those, and the website doesn't say what they are.
You got to call Mike. Yeah.
Call Mike. Call the man.
He'll
tell you.
So
this is all new.
It is. It is all brand new.
I don't want to say I watched YouTube videos on how to do it, but I might have watched a YouTube video on how to do it.
Doc says, hey, Matt, I know you know how to spray a mean burst. I have sprayed a fair share of bursts, and I've done a lot of experimenting. There are some videos of me doing something I called the trailer park burst, which was just I mixed. This is wildly dangerous. This was at my home shop. I mixed dye with isopropyl alcohol and shot it out of the gun, and it actually worked very well.
It does work well.
Some woods it works better than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a handful of videos of me spraying a Sunburst. But yeah, I have shot a couple of Sunburst guitars.
You just don't get a lot of chance to do it.
I don't.
So you're kind of out of practice.
Steve wants to know, what is the long-term on UV finish like aging? Steve, I can only tell you what my personal experience is, which is 48 hours. It looks pretty good.
I think it's basically the same paint. It's just using a different hardening agent that kicks with UV instead of letting it sit over time and cook, like regular urethane paints, you can bake them and it'll dry. You can bake it for an hour and it'll be pretty much good to go if that's the way you want to approach it. So those are more heat based with that hardener. This is UV based.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like putting it in an oven. It's just a way hotter oven.
I have heard that there are some issues that one can have with UV curing pore filler because the pores in the wood can act like a hook. So you could have cured UV cured stuff, and then when it gets to the hook part, though, it's still a liquid form or a gel form, amorphous solid. It doesn't harden.
Yeah.
I've heard that can be a problem. That's why apparently there are some people that produce a dual cure, which is a peroxide part and a UV additive. So you mix it in just like MEKP with regular stuff, and it hardens whether it has UV on it or not, but you can UV activate it. So once you get the pores filled, I wouldn't worry at all about UV stuff. And frankly, I wouldn't worry too much about I would not worry too much about UV pore fillers unless you're a great big company. I hear that Taylor had some issues with UV pore filler.
Yeah.
But how many guitars does Taylor make every day?
Yeah, probably a lot. I wonder how much of it is user error or
I think that application
is really what I was.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out. So far, it's been really, really neat. Really cool. I think something else too, and we sort of ran into this with that other light, is you think that it's cured and it's really not.
Yeah.
It's sort of cured.
So if you rush through the cure process and your light isn't, I'm not saying that Taylor did this.
No.
But it is possible to go too fast.
Yeah, I think so. And you'll end up with kind of gummy spots.
Yeah.
And you think, well, that'll get hard overnight or something like that. No, it doesn't. It stays gooey. We did some of them and I had to go back the next day and finish them up.
Yeah.
On that first batch, mainly because I don't think I was aiming it right.
Yeah.
Because the light was small and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, with the new light, I aimed it and man, it was definitely cured.
This kind of brings us. Oh, so Michael has a question. Do you have to wear a respirator with the UV cure stuff? The answer is yes.
Yeah. I read the MDS sheets on it, and it's not too awful. It's not as bad as Simtech or as the
OG Simtech,
the OG stuff. And it doesn't smell that bad, but it can't be good for you. I wouldn't imagine breathing that stuff. I'm also wearing a face shield unless I forget to put it down.
See the video on Sunday.
Yeah, see the video on Sunday, just in case.
Yeah.
But
so you've got your hair is covered.
Yeah.
You've got long sleeves on. Yeah.
Although they say that it's not really harmful for your skin. That'll basically just wash off. So but I still don't want to get covered in that stuff.
I would need a big spoonful of it. Yeah.
No,
but yeah, you want to wear a mask. You want to wear a mask and you want to protect your clothes and your skin and your eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's definitely not as stinky as the other stuff.
And now this brings us kind of full circle. Jim asked the question: will we be able to do yellowing in the $9,000 Strat workshop? Funny you should ask. Maybe.
We haven't tried it yet, but yeah.
But if you figure Lacquer
harness the power of the sun in a wand, we should be able to yellow some lacquer, I would think.
Yep. Yeah. Which is one of the reasons you have this can of StewMac nitrocellulose lacquer.
Absolutely, right? One of the reasons. Yes.
Why did we land on StewMac? Now, StewMac didn't send this to us. We paid for this lacquer.
Yeah. For one thing, lacquer's getting harder and harder to get.
Yep.
And I know for a fact that StewMac always has some sort of lacquer product. And so I'm kind of looking for some consistency with availability.
Yep.
Because every time you get a new lacquer, you have to kind of relearn how to use that lacquer. So yeah, I'm hoping that This stuff is available for a long time.
Yep.
And usually StewMac does a really good job of speccing stuff.
I think so,
too.
yeah.
Everything else is kind of furniture based. Watco and Deft. Deft is the worst lacquer ever.
It never hardens,
never
right?
ever get hard.
Yeah.
But those are mostly furniture based kind of things. Mohawk, I guess, is pretty good.
But we haven't seen any Mohawk stuff for a long time locally.
No, we can't buy any lacquer locally. We gotta order all this stuff in. And this stuff's about the same price. It's not really that much more than anybody else's stuff. So
yeah.
And this is the traditional aged gloss. So apparently this if I was a betting man, I would say this has more nitrocellulose in it than their other super clean and crisp
I
lacquer,
think so,
because they say this ages faster and has a little more yellowy tint.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's what's going on with this stuff.
So it might be possible to do some stuff with this and our tiny son with the handle, and we might could who knows, we might could get some lacquer going, and we might could age it right on the spot.
Yeah, so we'll see. That would be fun to do if it works. Yeah, otherwise just add a little tint to it.
No one hacked my YouTube account. There's at least a couple other guys named Matt Flaherty who are guitar guys, and one of them is here with us tonight.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yep. Doc says Oxford lacquer made specifically for our instruments and ships to the USA. Well, that's cool. But you know what, Doc?
Yeah, Oxford.
Here's the thing, though.
Likes that. Brad.
Yeah, he's also in Canada. Bring me one too. But we are actually sponsored by StewMac, not Oxford. So if you guys are interested in checking out any of the products that StewMac has, link in the description below, and tell them the guys at Texas Toast sent you. So
I'll show you how to use it.
That's right.
Good Lord, we need more boxes back here.
We got a super chat from Dave who said, true story, did a fabric top with Simtech in the apartment. Top looked great, but neighbors thought I was running a meth lab.
Yeah.
I do not doubt it, sir.
Holy cow, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave the Pious?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that stuff stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Smells like Bondo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Holy cow. I'm actually surprised you're alive to tell the tale, Dave.
Yeah, I don't.
That's yeah. I don't get a buzz if I'm around that stuff. I just don't like it. I can taste it later.
Yeah. Lacquer is such a nice thing to kind of get a whiff of. Yeah.
Lacquer's nice. It's smooth.
So anyway, so we've got a little bit more time, Chris, to talk about what is one of the things that we did. So finishing is just one aspect of guitar making that we do differently now than we did a decade ago.
Uh-huh.
And we're always trying to evolve. We're always trying to push ourselves. We're always trying to stay enamored with building instruments, because it's not just what we do, it's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I can name, I bet you I could rattle off a dozen things pretty easily that were real game changers for us once we got away from the way we did it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the least of which is the pin router.
Yeah.
To that end, not the least of which was the CNC machine for inlay. Mm-hmm. You know, I said I never wanted a CNC machine. I never want a CNC machine. And then it became pretty obvious that we needed to do one, because we were selling so much inlay work by telling people we don't do it. Mm-hmm. But people said, but I really want it. And we were having to outsource all of our inlay work to various people. It suddenly became,
I hate doing.
Yeah. But it became very apparent to us that we need a tool like this if people are going to buy inlay, even though we tell them that we don't do it. Imagine what we could do if we told people we did do it.
Yeah.
So, but I remember the day we picked up the CNC machine, and I remember you've told this story a number of times. You're like, what in the hell are we going to do with that? You remember?
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, this is what the old shops had, so we have to have one.
Yeah. Oh, the pin router.
Yeah.
I thought you said CNC.
Well, I was talking about both, but
yeah. The day I didn't really even know how it worked. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there looking at this thing going, I don't really know. And this was so far back that I was only there on, Saturdays and sometimes Sundays.
Yeah.
and you and Dave rebuilt it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the first thing that you cut with it, you cut some humbucker routes
in a double neck Mosrite
body, and it was and I was like, oh, I totally get it now. I see exactly what's going on. This thing's rad.
Yeah.
Because before that was 2 or 3 different routers worth of depths and stops and stuff like that, and this thing just cranked through them. And then it was, game on. This is cool. Yeah. So
that was a big one for us. The 7-degree headstock was a huge one for us. All of a sudden, we stopped doing headstocks one at a time. We started doing headstocks all this. And I am not the inventor of 7-degree headstock, but I am one of the biggest cheerleaders for the 7-degree headstock. I would bet you that most people who are new guitar builders who have discovered the 7-degree headstock have no idea who I am and have no idea why they know about 7-degree headstock. But dear listener, I want you to know that was a huge game changer for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think even more than that, just a way to quickly and precisely do it over and over again.
We could have gone with 8.
Yeah, we could have,
or 6.5 or whatever.
4.2.
Yeah.
But the ability to come up with some sort of jig that holds it, that's easy to load the piece in and do it using the things you have. That's the one thing about guitar building is, for the longest time, I always thought, home guys, these are the tools you use. You put fret slots in with that saw.
Yeah, the hand saw and the little miter box.
I did one fretboard, and the first fret I went, oh man, this is easy. And by like the 5th fret slot, I was like, this sucks. I can't imagine. I can't wait for this to be done. And then same with fretboard radius, had a jig for that. Holds the block straight, still sucked, still took way too long. And it's like, so you gotta go, what, half of the stuff I want to get better because I don't want to spend all that time doing it.
Yeah.
I want it to be, you spend all that time and it's still not great. It's still not good.
Scott wants to know, he has a great question, which will give me a time to pontificate a little bit.
Okay.
Scott wants to know, what's the significance of the 7-degree headstock? Or is it just making a jig to be consistent? Well, Scott, yes, it is making a jig to be consistent, but the 7-degree headstock came about when we came upon it independently when we discovered that 8-quarter lumber was the maximum angle you could get with our headstock with 8-quarter lumber was 7 degrees.
Yes.
So, and you know what? That's not true. You could probably get 8. You could probably get 10. But just the way our headstock works, the length of the headstock, we landed on 7, and it seemed like it was just about perfect. We had a little bit extra.
Yeah, it gives you a little fudge room in case your wood isn't exactly 8-quarter or it's not exactly flat.
And we don't start with 8-quarter, and we actually machine it down to 1.5. But but with 8-quarter, it's right in that sweet spot. You can always do a 7-degree headstock, even if it was a little bit longer, like a 12 string or a V or something. So we landed on that for that. Then I discovered one of my favorite guitar builders of all time, Dan Armstrong, who is not only famous for bringing you the clear Dan Armstrong lucite guitar and many of the things that make the SVT cool, but he was also
the bass player for the song Yummy, Yummy, Yummy by
the Ohio something.
Express.
Ohio Express, that's right. So, I mean, that should be enough right there. Whatever the bass part for that sounds like.
I don't know. I keep trying to think of it, but it's one of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons is the moon landing, and Homer's dad's watching it on TV, and Homer's sitting in a beanbag chair with
a giant headphones singing that.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
And Dan Armstrong on bass.
Where were you during the moon landing? And Homer's like,
So Scott, that's why we landed on 7 degrees, and it just so happens that we were in good company. Now, I don't know who all is using 7-degree headstock angles now, but I know for a fact it's a lot more than there were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
and that came about, I think, did that come about during the $400 challenge?
Shortly after, because our $400 challenge headstocks were actually less than that.
Well, I know mine was because I used really mine was like 2.5.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the that's sort of the story behind why we landed on 7 degrees. And it's more than enough headstock angle. People often tell me, people who I go to their YouTube channel and surprise, there's no videos. They don't put themselves out there. They are not in the arena, but they like to tell me that I'm doing things wrong. And one of the things they often tell me is 7 degrees is not nearly enough. It has to be double that, because Gibsons are 14 or 17 or something. So they and their favorite guitar is a Gibson. So, okay. The headstock angle alone is not what makes your guitar sound like your guitar.
People think that
however,
that adds more pressure.
I don't. They think all sorts of things. Yeah. What they ought to think is that it's another good way to bust your guitar headstock off. The other cool thing, Scott, about using a 7-degree headstock angle is with our Challenger models, the flat top ones anyway, you can set the guitar on its back and nothing touches. The headstock doesn't touch. If you had a table that was long enough to put the whole guitar on and put the back on the table, the tip of the headstock would not touch the table. So it's a way to strengthen the headstock test. Oh yeah, yeah, with that one.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Yep.
Okay. Brad likes 77 degrees. That's
77. Seems a little steep.
Dylan says he finds that if you don't drop your guitar, it doesn't break. Actually, Dylan, there are some Gibson cases that are notorious for breaking headstocks without dropping them. So your theory is mostly correct.
Gibson cases?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some Gibson cases. Brett's Gibson case, the case was, yep.
Yeah, that could be a thing.
Yep. Fat Philosopher wants to know thoughts on those Fender custom shop petrified wood guitars. Is 50,000-year-old New Zealand wood the wave of the future? I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I think it is I'm going to go out on a limb. It is a fad, and it's cool, but as soon as 50,000-year-old Tanzanian whatever wood is gone, Fender will go, this is the new hot stuff.
Yeah, what happened to Beetle Kill Pine?
Yeah.
Thought that was the hotness for Fender. Yeah. For a company that can't even use swamp ash anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50,000-year-old wood seems
Yep. Van Shank wants to know, is the EB3 bass finished? I have no idea.
EB3.
We did an EBO bass, and it's been done a long time now.
Gone, and there will be no video.
But that you can see that bass in action if you go check out the Outliers, and here in Denver, Mac is playing that bass often.
Yeah, I filmed a bunch of stuff for it, but I never filmed a last little here it is finished. There might be some pictures of it on Facebook. Yeah, it's a red EBO.
Jedi Jingle Maker, I'm a strong guitar rights advocate. However, have you ever burned a guitar? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have. I did with Bruce Clay, Master Luthier Bruce Clay at his shop. One of the last things I ever did with that guy.
We had a fire pit one time at your house, and there was some.
Was there some guitar parts in there?
Yeah, they were never finished guitars, but yeah. Unfortunately, not all guitars make it all the way.
They don't. They don't. They're not all magic.
Nope.
And you know what, Jedi Jingle Maker, I like your style too.
Yeah.
NJ Scotsman says his dad had a 65 Gibson that the case was not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We actually commented when Tony was here, Anthony Russo was here last week, at what passed for a case back in the day.
Yeah.
He had original cases.
And what passed for a fret job.
Mid 60s. Well, that's a whole other thing, but mid 60s Gibsons. And both of those cases were cases.
They were pretty. They were pretty crap-tastic.
Yeah, they weren't exactly holding the guitar secure.
They were kind of hard gig bags.
Yeah, basically.
All of the disadvantages of a gig bag
felt.
With none of the advantages of a gig bag.
Yeah. All the heft of a case with none of the protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, that's really great.
So, Chris, we have a few moments. What are we revealing tomorrow?
What would you like to reveal?
I think we should reveal that guy and that guy or that guy. Okay.
Sure.
So we've got a cool reveal for tomorrow. It's going to be that guy, and that guy. And we've got a great video coming Sunday about UV Cure paints. I don't know how much we talked about pushing yourself to be good.
I think we touched on it a little bit. I think we gave lots of examples of ourselves pushing ourselves to be good.
Yep.
Yeah, it's real easy and to just get complacent in the way you do stuff.
It does.
And sometimes coming up with a new way to do it is just a matter of, well, I hate the way that it doesn't always turn out really well.
Yeah.
I need a new way to do it. Let me figure out a different way to do it. And instead of accepting the way it's always been done, in the guitar community or in the home build community or whatever, try and think of a different way of doing it.
Yep. Keep pushing yourself, keep trying new things, and keep staying enamored with the art of building guitars, because
you can always go back to the way you did it before. If you hate the new way you're doing it, oh, this sucks.
This is rotten.
Yeah, this is the worst thing ever.
But you never know. You might land on something that you really like.
Yeah, and be like, I can't believe I didn't do this sooner.
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works.
So, guys, we're going to wrap up our show tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. I want you to stick around for Dylan Talks Tone. He and Leslie are going to be talking tone and talking guitars and talking life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness after that until the wee hours of the morning, probably. So go over to Dylan's channel and check him out and hang out with those guys and show them some love. I'd also like for you to remember that we are sponsored by Stuart McDonald Guitar Works. If you have anything in your cart at Stu Mac, please click the link in the description below. It'll take you to Stu Mac Guitars and buy all your stuff from Stu Mac through that link. That helps us out quite a bit. I'd like to thank Dylan and Leslie from Dylan Talks Tone and Dylan Pickups. Link in the description below. You can check out the pickups that they make. You get a little bit of a break on the price if you go through the link there, and you get some super awesome, excellent pickups wound by the guy whose name is on the pickups, not somebody who works for the guy whose name is on the pickups.
He doesn't just talk tone, he also whines tone.
That's right. I changed Dylan in my phone to Dylan Talks Phone. Thanks to, I think SS told me to do that, or Lefty. I can't remember. Somebody told me to do that. I'd like to thank Steve at Maximum Guitar Works in Elizabeth, Colorado. Link in the description below for Maximum Guitar Works. All of the templates that we use and a lot of the stuff that we do for class stuff these days comes from Steve at Maximum Guitar Works. Link in the description below on that one. I would like to thank, I'm getting it all out of order today, Chris and Dina at Odyssey Beer Works, the Great American Beer Works. You know whose birthday it is today, Chris?
Dina's.
It's Dina's birthday. Double Deuce is Dina's birthday. She's not 22. I think she just turned 21. So if you follow Dina or the guys at Odyssey Beer Works, check out them on Facebook or one of their other social media platforms. Wish Dina a happy birthday. I would like to thank, who else am I forgetting? There's so many people. I'd like to thank Bill Hendricks at Spin Twist. We will be showing off the Spin Twist spray wrap paint rig in the Sunday's video, prominently displayed.
Yep. It's all modified now too.
It's totally modified.
Totally customized.
Totally customized. It's not modified. It's customized.
It's not modified. It's customized.
That's right. I would like to thank Dan and Calvin at Tonewood Experts. Guys, if you are in the market for Tonewood, use code TexasToast15 at checkout and you get 15% off when you talk to the guys at Tonewood Experts. Stuff like truss rods and little parts like that. Check out Bitterroot Guitars. John and Cheryl at Bitterroot have the code TXTOAST at checkout. You get 15% off from all the good stuff at Bitterroot. And there aren't two nicer people in the world than John and Cheryl. I'd also like to thank Nigel Forstner at Forstner Guitars, all the way in Queensland, Australia. If you want to check out his book, about how to make money in the woodworking industry. It's link in the description below. You can find that. And I'd also like to thank Pedal to the Metal Guitars for all of their support too. Brad at Pedal to the Metal Guitars is a super cool guy. And last but not least, in the 1 minute that I have left, Ike and the gang at Flipside Music, the great American guitar store. Check them out. Show them some love. They help us help them. What am I missing, Chris?
I think that's it. You got them all. You even got a couple that I'd forgotten about.
All right, gang. Have a good night. We'll see you after Dylan's show. We'll see you tomorrow for the reveal, and have a great night, everybody.